20 years ago, Lydia Cole owned every playground in the city without spending a dime. Her secret weapon wasn't money. It was a simple rhythm that made children's hearts skip with joy. 3 beats, 3 beats, 2 beats. The 332 pattern echoed from schoolyard to bedrooms, taught by teachers who swore it calmed hyperactive kids and sung by parents who watched their toddlers drift peacefully to sleep. Lydia never sought fame. She married billionaire Adrian Cole. Yes, but that wasn't her story. Her story lived in the brown drum slung across her shoulders as she stood before a classroom full of wide-eyed children. She'd tap the rhythm, and within minutes, tiny hands would clap along, faces lighting up with pure delight. The pattern spread like wildfire, not through social media or marketing campaigns, but through the most powerful network of all, children talking to children. But fate has cruel timing. On a rain-soaked Tuesday night, headlights cut through darkness, tires screamed against wet pavement, and the city's beloved drum queen found herself fighting for her life. The headlines were brutal. Lydia Cole, children's music icon, critical after car crash. She never opened her eyes again. Instead of fading away, the 332 pattern exploded across the city with new meaning. Parents taught it to their babies with trembling voices. Playgrounds rang with a rhythm that had become a memorial. Teachers incorporated it into daily routines, telling students about the woman who gave them this gift. The beat became tradition, passed from generation to generation, Lydia's lasting legacy carved into the heartbeat of an entire community. Years passed. The woman who started it all lay motionless in a private hospital wing, machines humming their steady, heartless songs. Adrian had built a facility with his fortune, hoping money could buy miracles. But hope is expensive, and after 2 decades, even billionaires run out of faith. The city remembered her rhythm, but everyone had forgotten that Lydia Cole was still listening. Z never imagined her job as a hospital cleaner would change everything. She moved through the sterile halls with quiet efficiency, changing linens and scrubbing floors while her 5-year-old son Michael waited in the family lounge. But Michael wasn't like other children. He carried a little blue toy drum everywhere, red strap crossing his chest, wooden sticks tapping whenever anxiety crept into his small world. The drum drove everyone crazy. Nurses rolled their eyes. Other parents shushed him. Even Z scolded him daily, but Micah never stopped playing. To him, rhythms weren't noise, they were conversation. His mother had taught him the 332 pattern when he was barely walking, explaining it was special, created by a lady who made the whole city sing before she went silent forever. Micah believed every word. In his young mind, Miss Lydia wasn't gone. She was just waiting for someone to play her song correctly. He practiced constantly, his small fingers finding the perfect timing, the exact emphasis that made the pattern come alive. Other kids learned it as a game, but for Micah, it was sacred music. That Tuesday afternoon, while Z scrubbed sinks in the cardiac wing, restlessness overtook him. The family lounge felt too small, too quiet. Against every rule his mother had drilled into him, Micah slipped down the forbidden hallway, drum bouncing gently against his chest. He'd heard whispers about the special room, the one where the rhythm lady slept. The door stood slightly ajar. Micah pushed it open with the fearlessness that only children possess. There she was, the woman from the stories, lying still and pale beneath white sheets. Machines beeped around her like electronic sentries, but she looked peaceful, not scary. Her graying blonde hair spread across the pillow, and tubes fed her the breath she couldn't take alone. "Miss Lydia," he whispered, climbing onto the step beside her bed. The drum felt heavier now, weighted with purpose. Somewhere deep in his 5-year-old heart, Micah knew this moment mattered more than anything he'd ever done. The rhythm was calling, and finally he was close enough for her to hear it. The first tap echoed softly through the room. 3 beats, steady and sure. Micah's small hands found their rhythm while his eyes never left Lydia's peaceful face. 3 more beats, then 2. The pattern his mother taught him, the song that belonged to the sleeping woman before him. Dr. Harrison appeared in the doorway, clipboard clutched against his chest. "Hey, you can't be in here." His voice cracked like a whip, but Micah didn't flinch. Something was happening, something the adults couldn't see yet. He leaned closer to the bed, sticks poised above the drum surface. "If you hear me, Miss Lydia, blink on the last 2 beats," he whispered. The doctor froze mid-stride. "What did you just say?" Micah repeated the pattern. 3, 3, 2. And for the first time in 20 years, Lydia's eyelashes trembled. The doctor's clipboard crashed to the floor, papers scattering like startled birds. His medical training screamed that this was impossible, just reflexes, coincidence, wishful thinking. But Micah saw truth where science saw impossibility. He played again, his young voice counting the beats aloud. 3, 3, 2. Blink again if you know this song. Her eyelids lifted once, twice, perfectly timed with the final beats. The doctor staggered backward, his face draining of color. 20 years of medical certainty crumbled in an instant. Z burst through the door, towel still damp in her hands. Micah, I told you not to. She stopped, seeing the doctor's expression, then her son's determined face, then the woman in the bed whose eyes had just moved with purpose. What did you do? She gasped. She taught everybody. Micah said simply, pointing at Lydia. You told me the story. I just played her song. The doctor found his voice, though it shook with disbelief. His getting responses. Deliberate, purposeful responses. This isn't medically possible, but it's happening. Heavy footsteps thundered down the hallway. Adrian Cole himself appeared, fury radiating from every inch of his expensive suit. He'd spent billions keeping his wife comfortable, fighting anyone who disturbed her peace. Now a child with a toy drum had invaded her sanctuary. Who let this boy in here? His voice could cut steel. But then Lydia's hand twitched, just once, perfectly synchronized with Micah's drumbeat. Adrian's rage dissolved into something far more dangerous. Hope. Adrian Cole hadn't cried in 20 years. Billionaires don't cry. They solve problems with money, influence, and determination. But watching his wife's deliberate blink in response to a child's drumbeat shattered every wall he'd built around his grief. Play it again, he whispered, his commanding voice reduced to a broken plea. Micah gripped his sticks tighter, small chin raised defiantly. She knows this song. Don't make me stop. The doctor, still reeling from what he'd witnessed, leaned over Lydia's still form. Mrs. Cole, if you can hear me, blink twice. Nothing. The monitors hummed their steady rhythm, unchanged. Adrian's shoulders sagged. It was just... No, Micah interrupted, something fierce blazing in his young eyes. He positioned his sticks above the drum, finding that sacred rhythm once more. Miss Lydia, it's your song. Blink on the last 2 beats. 3 beats. 3 more. Then 2, and her eyelashes fluttered in perfect timing. Once. Twice. The doctor grabbed his stethoscope with shaking hands. This is purposeful response. After 20 years, she's showing signs of minimal consciousness. Mr. Cole, do you understand what this means? Adrian collapsed into the bedside chair, both hands covering his face as sobs racked his powerful frame. It means she's still here. All these years, I thought I lost her, but she's still here. Micah watched the crying billionaire with curious eyes. She listened because I played her song right. My mom taught me the 332. She said every kid in the city knows it because it was Miss Lydia's rhythm. Z finally found her voice through her tears. It's true. The pattern became tradition after her accident. Children learn it in school, on playgrounds. Micah grew up hearing it everywhere. I never thought. Her voice broke. I never thought it would reach her. Adrian looked up, his red-rimmed eyes focusing on the hospital cleaner and her extraordinary son. Your boy just gave me back what billions in doctors and machines never could. The doctor was already reaching for his phone, hands trembling with excitement and disbelief. We need neurologists, physical therapists, speech pathologists. If word gets out that a patient responded to her own rhythm after 2 decades, it'll revolutionize how we approach consciousness disorders. But Adrian only had eyes for Micah. He knelt before the boy, gripping his small shoulders gently. You gave my empty years hope. You woke her when no one else could. Micah blinked shyly. I just wanted her to hear her song. The billionaire pulled him into a fierce hug, toy drum squeezed between them. You did more than that. Son, you gave me back my wife. News traveled faster than wildfire. Within hours, coma patient responds after 20 years to her own viral rhythm blazed across headlines worldwide. Social media exploded with videos of the original 332 pattern, parents filming their children tapping the rhythm that had brought a woman back from the edge of forever. Adrian, who had hidden from public attention for 2 decades, stood before camera crews with Z and Micah at his side. His voice remained steady, but tears glistened as he spoke. My wife taught this rhythm to children before tragedy took her voice. Today, a child gave her voice back to us. Reporters shouted questions. Flashes burst like lightning, but Adrian bent down to whisper only to Micah, "You're a drummer now." Inside the hospital, the real miracle unfolded quietly. Therapy sessions began immediately, with Micah invited daily to play his simple drum. Gradually, magnificently, Lydia's responses grew stronger. Her eyes tracked movement. Her fingers twitched with intention. And once, faint but unmistakably clear, her lips parted to whisper a single word, "Beat." Adrian collapsed against the bed, sobbing into her hand. "I hear you, Lydia. I hear you." Doctors recorded every moment, but the most powerful image spread organically through the city, a boy with a toy drum, tapping the pattern everyone knew by heart, while a woman who'd slept for 20 years blinked in perfect rhythm, slowly returning to life. Z watched her son with all that bordered on reverence. She'd spent years scrubbing floors to survive, never imagining her child would accomplish the impossible. "You will finish your song," Adrian promised his wife, voice thick with emotion, "and I'll be here for every note." Outside, playgrounds erupted with a 332 pattern, louder and more joyful than ever before. But now it carried new meaning. This wasn't just Lydia's legacy anymore. It was a resurrection song. Children drummed on desks. Parents clapped along tearfully. The rhythm that had comforted a city through grief now celebrated the miracle of a woman returning home. Some called it impossible. Others called it faith. But in a hospital room where Billionaire held his wife's responding hand while a 5-year-old played her rhythm, it was simply love, proving that sometimes the smallest hands carry the most powerful magic, and the simplest songs can wake even the deepest sleep.